So it's like I'm noticing I just need to hear it. It's just good for me to hear it over and over and over, like the actual sane shit over and over. Erase all the insane shit.
Right? Well, it's like getting clarity. It's like getting clarity when you hear.
Yeah.
When you
It
hear.
feels so good.
Well, it also can be when you're hearing it being told to someone else. You're in a position of having compassion for that person because you are aware of what they just opened themselves up to.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is going to be brutal. But it's, at the same time, it's a process that is so freeing. There's gold. There's a pot of gold in it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the elephant in the room that you don't want to talk about. But when you start talking about it, you realize that it's actually the pot of gold.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't really. I haven't really talked to anybody about anything I'm going through. A couple times I have, and I kind of left feeling like I wish I hadn't. Mm-hmm. Like I gave a little something away, or like they're so indoctrinated that they just kind of look at me, and then I just kind of walk away and felt like, I felt like I just gave away a little bit.
Yeah, you do, and they don't understand it, and they will judge it.
I mean, even though they're kind and even though they're supportive, but I can still, it's kind of, they're still in the like, oh, you're just going to let yourself get fat. You're going to give up.
Yeah. And you're like, yes. And I'm so excited to do it.
I know. I'm just like, it's so amazing. It's so freeing. And they're just like, like a deer in the headlights. Like, that's so good for you.
Good for you.
And then I'm like leave going, oh God, why did I do that? And I have to go listen to another, so I don't really talk. It's I'm just like, I'm in a dungeon right now. And it's like, I'm like a good dungeon, like a laboratory where all I do, I just listen to your tapes, listen to your videos every day.
Okay, should I be worried right now? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, because you realize too that what you were doing before it goes nowhere. It's the illusion you're getting something out of it. There is this weird illusion that it's going to end up there's going to be payoff someday. And it just digs your hole deeper and deeper. And so being isolated, at least when I recovered, the idea of being alone to me was a better alternative. And I'm obviously not suggesting people isolate themselves, but to accept the possibility that if no one on the face of the planet understands you, and they all think you're fucking crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it's temporary. Like, it's kind of a holy time. Like, it's kind of I feel like I'm in like a deep program of some sort, which feels really like I'm dealing with with reality, like across the board in my life. Like everything has come undone, and it's beautiful, and it's painful, and there's just grieving, but it's just I feel very optimistic I feel like I'm getting a redo.
Right. Well, and it can't be worse than what it was. So even if it sucks, this is the other thing that I remember thinking too, because where you're going to is there's no plan. There's no we could give you a plan, but that's a transfer of the issue, right? That's inauthentic. We're just giving you another structure to follow to try to prove yourself happy. So it's not inherent. It's not an authentic reality. It's an inauthentic, fictitious idea of success, right?
Yeah.
So when I remember in this place where it feels like this whole thing could be a catastrophe. The catastrophe that could happen is better than what I just got out of.
And I feel like I keep getting a flash of like that I've been sent to the wrong side of the stands in like the Super Bowl. Like I'm in like with all the wrong fans. Like I'm like, go Chargers, but I'm like
totally
in the wrong stuff. They're all looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like I'm like walking amongst them, but I'm not Yeah.
Well, and, here's the thing. To renunciate yourself, like if we were to look at Buddhism and different types of spiritual paths to enlightenment, if you want to call it that, renunciating alcohol and renunciating sex and renunciating the worldly goods, shaving your head, wearing a robe, meditating for hours a day. That is you could say, one route to enlightenment. But is it real if you have to renunciate reality?
Yeah.
Can you live in the world and experience its worldly goods and losses and not attach to any of it?
I loved what you said in one of your things recently. You said something about loosely live in this world, like live just loosely, like how you like to go, that you'd like to have fun and play a character and get dressed up and go out with your husband. Like, you're not telling us to, like, don't brush our teeth and don't comb our hair and
exactly.
have no self-image at all. Like,
Correct.
Just go throw it to the birds. But it's just sort of like, yeah, have fun, loosely live, but just don't place all of your self-value in it.
It's like... Yeah, it's like as children when you used to play dress up, or we're gonna play this game. You knew it was play. That didn't take away from the fun of it all.
Yeah.
And then when it was over, you went back to reality and you moved on. So it's like, what's wrong with, what's wrong with going to my children's athletic games and putting my daughter in gymnastics, which is going to really mess her up. How can I live in reality and be a human and live with our humanness without taking it so serious? So the first thing is to know that it isn't serious. Oh, this is a fucking game. Everybody's taking it so serious. It's kind of funny. And and then have compassion, right? So you can have compassion for all the people in the stadium that you're like, all these people, and they're all looking at me like, you're crazy. You know what? Have compassion for them. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't demean them. It's like, this isn't better than, it's just a totally different space of existing.
Yeah.
And you could say that everything you've experienced up to this point was necessary for you to get here to this place. Right?
I suppose.
It is. You did not have any discernment until you came out of it.
Yeah.
And you're still figuring it out as you come out of it. So it's like you could go, well, there's no way I would be aware of this if I didn't have that. It took that to have and even know this existed. You have a comparison between the two. You wouldn't have appreciated this type of awareness if you didn't have hell to compare it to.
Yeah.
You wouldn't appreciate it. Which means it wouldn't be drawing you to it. Okay, so here is a way to think about this too. And there's a couple of videos. This is basically my day in a nutshell. I had a consult this morning, and at the very end of this consult, I'm talking about karma. Whether you believe in karma or not does not matter. Let's just pretend it's an idea. And that this idea has some relevance, right? That maybe you did something really terrible in a previous life. Like, maybe you stoned a lover to death, or you burned a witch at the stake. Okay? And this is your karma!
Yeah. I feel that definitely coming out of this 17-year relationship. It was so, as I'm seeing, such a repeat of my parents' relationship, like, down to, like, the scariest detail. And I just sort of feel like, okay, I burned off all that. I feel done with it. I sort of feel like almost like I did this weird duty. Like, I burned off the karma of my parent, of my mom.
Of your judginess of it. Yeah. Like,
I just burned off the karma. I was just like, whatever. I was apparently destined to repeat it. I did it. It's over. It's done. I can just put it behind me now. Just that phrase of like, I think I burned that karma off.
You got a diploma.
It's done.
You did it. You know,
it's done. It's over.
Yeah, and let's look at it through the lens of body image. Like, if you shamed someone for something like leprosy, can you see why you have this karma to carry? So she's going to be born with a body that is shamed.
Yeah.
So she gets to experience shaming.
Yeah, and my mom, as well, is struggling with these. I mean, mirroring her issues as well.
Well, yeah,
body image and the beauty queen, and she's still, she's on HCG 80% of the time. She's just constantly on it and going off it, and she's in the cycle big time. So I'm kind of just.
You have to forgive. You can forgive that too, because you can go,
of course.
Yeah, I know what she's doing, and she's going to do this until it does her in,
Yeah.
And it's and maybe that's what has to happen, So you kind of have to allow people to go through it and to chase this mirage and blame everything but themselves,
Yeah.
Just let it happen without judging them and just go, yeah, I've done that before. And it took me massive amounts of suffering to come out of it. And thank God I did it before committing suicide or naturally dying of causes that are directly related to what I was doing, So, look at maybe this is in this lifetime, you are to be in a fat body. That is, there's nothing you can do about it. You can fight karma. Right? You can fight this karma and you will be in hell for doing it.
So, last time I talked to you was 6 weeks ago. Since then I've totally, no restrictions, eaten to, I've been doing really what I've never done before. There's been a few flashes of, I have a bottle of HCG sitting in my refrigerator. I should just throw it in the trash. I've found, I've found a ton of relief of anxiety, like as far as around food. I'm feeling just so happy to just not worry about food and to have, to be able to have like food in my house that I've never would let myself. I was scared of it. I have popsicles in my freezer. I have peanut butter. I have crackers, and I eat them. I don't eat them all. Like, it's just, it's just kind of, I'm noticing I'll eat chips, and later in the day I'll come upon more chips where normally I would be, going to this whole, I ate so many chips, now I want to eat this chip. Or it's like, now I just hear a little calm voice go, I'm kind of chipped out. I don't really feel like eating chips. And I'll be like, who said that? Who fucking just said that? Was that me? Or like, at work they bring in donuts, and normally it turns into this, okay, I'm only going to have one, oh God, and then I'm going to have two, oh shit. This whole battle against them. Where I literally just had this authentic, looked at the donuts and was like, oh, I don't feel like one right now. And again, I was like, who the fuck's it? So I'm having these moments of payoff that just feel good. Like, that I'm, so that's good. Where it kind of gets challenging is just dealing with the weight itself. I'm like, it's heavy. It's like getting up out of bed and like getting into the car, like this heavy weight. And most of the time I just, my self-talk is like done a 180, like just very calm. It's not, it's just like, well, this is just what we're dealing with right now, and it's okay. And, some grief that I kind of did this to my body, like it didn't need to happen. And
okay, this brings you back to the karma of it.
Yeah.
What if this is part of the damage you did in a previous life that you have to now go through, and in the end, for you to be done with this karma, you have to accept the damages you did to a body fighting something you shame. So you have to accept what you shame and complain about, right? So what if...
That's humbling. That's like, that's just kind of, just sort of breaks my heart. Like, shit, why couldn't I have gotten this at like 200 pounds, like 20, 30 pounds ago? Why didn't I?
Because you must have been that terrible in a previous life.
I guess.
I'm just saying, like, does it really matter? You needed to suffer this much to finally get it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to say, I shoulda, I wish I woulda. Well, you know what? That's not how that way of being works.
Yeah.
The longer you stay in the diet concept, the fatter you're going to get.
I know, that's what I've just been like, I'll hear a little voice go, well, you can just do a quick round. I'm like, no, I can't do any more rounds. Like, every time I've done nothing but steadily gain weight. I'm even like, look, if I'm going to gain weight, I would rather just gain it straight up instead of up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, that's got to be better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bring on the weight gain, but I'm not going to just keep losing at this.
Yeah.
Whatever. So so that's pretty amazing that it's just off dieting is just off the table. Like, that's not going to happen. And that feels good. Yeah.
So the next thing what you have to do is accept the damages. You have to accept it permanently.
Yeah.
So the permanence I'm getting is that you're not permanently accepting it.
Oh, no, I feel like I'm in recovery. I'm not recovered. I occasionally, in the last 6 weeks, I'll get on the scale because I want, like, a physical guidepost to how's this working out,
Yeah, totally. I love that you know what you're doing. I love that you know that that's what you're doing. That's awesome.
That's kind of, because I definitely, like, the girl on the phone, you're in the consult was like, I definitely like, oh, if I do this, my body will fix itself and I'll be, some of the spat will be off of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much, I've more let go of, of being thin to be accepted. It's just, now I'm really like, it would just be nice to, like, not have to carry so much of this. But unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it because I fail. I don't know how to do it. I have to just leave it. And if that happens over time, that's great, but I can't put any restriction. I don't know. That's kind of, I struggle with that. And there's sometimes where I think, okay, can't you just objectively without emotion, like, it's not bad to just say, yeah, it would be nice to not have so much to be carrying up this much, but this is what it is. And this is just what it is.
Okay. This is what you're lacking. You ready?
Yeah.
You don't think you're still acting as if you can't handle it.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that. And then I hear you say, like, you can handle it.
That's where that's what you're missing.
Yeah.
You've gotten a long way. You've gone a long way. You're missing that puzzle piece. I have to feel.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that puzzle piece.
Okay, awesome. So how do we get you to do that? Right? That's the next step is like, okay, I need to feel that I can handle this. Well, the only way that comes up is by handling it. So as you're still negotiating for fixing it, you're not holding yourself accountable to handling it. You're still trying to reach. You're still in a state of dependency, even though the willingness for you to sit in this is fucking amazing. Congratulations, by the way. This is a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but it really, you're going to fatigue. This spot is fatiguing.
Well, and I just went this morning to the doctor. I have this ankle issue that I've been like, anyway, long story short, I just found out this morning my ankle is fucked. I'm going to have surgery. There's some degenerative something, my ankle is just for like months. I'm going to just have it in this boot and not, so then that kind of threw me into, well, wait, that's going to fuck with my recovery because my body, I want to listen to what my body wants, and my body wants to move and climb a mountain and walk the dogs far and do fun, move and have fun. And now it's going to fuck with that because now my body's injured by this fucking ankle. And of course the doctors are like, well, you need to lose this weight isn't helping anything. And it's like,
you're like, wow, thanks. I didn't know that.
But I'm just like, so I had, kind of an emotional morning and just also grieving like youth, and I'm just going, wow, I'm never going to be young and hot ever. It's over. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just going to be this big fat woman with this giant boot hobbling around town, clearly inferior.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh well.
It's like Why? Why do I have to face this head on? Why can't I be in denial for longer?
And then I'm just aware of, like, I'm driving home, I'm kind of crying and sad in the car, then I just hear this go by Jack in the Box. It's like, I should have some onion rings. I just went through that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's that victim shit.
Yeah,
like,
right?
And then I'm like, okay, everybody calm down. Do you want something at Jack in the Box? Because you're more than welcome to have it. We're not going to go in there on some emotional
I deserve it. I deserve
and I'm just like, and I just hate the word victim, and I've never wanted to say, but man, I guess there's all that just looking at myself inside out and just seeing. Anyway, so I didn't even need to, I was like, I don't even want Jack in the Box. I have food at home. Let's calm down. Like, don't just, like, relax, And so I'm hearing that I don't need this right now. I don't need to eat this right now.
Yeah,
so
what's that gonna do, right? What's that gonna do?
So I'm just,
it feeds the little, it feeds the little narcissism in there.
And just all the shit you've been, all the stuff about how we inflate parts of ourselves to feel superior. And, my big cross to bear has been that I'm such a good friend. I'm so loyal. And these people don't appreciate it and they don't give it back. And then I've spent so much time in, hurt indignation, just being indignant and being hurt and being let down, and it's just, I'm just seeing all these fucking games, and I never thought I manipulate people. It's like, oh my God, I manipulate people.
Yeah, because when you were saying, I'm so loyal and they don't appreciate it, well, that's not loyalty. That's called conditional friendship that requires that they do something for you in return.
Yeah. Just that I want them to see, they need to see what a great friend I am.
I need validation. They were supposed to validate me.
Or just even to, the woman that, lashes out at her husband and, make it so hurt, so that no one, sort of a protective. I've done that. I'll shoot my mouth up or I'll get upset or cry and tell them how hurt I am, so then they won't be able to tell me what their issue is with me. Because I put up all these smoke and mirrors.
That's abusive.
I'm just realizing, holy shit, all these years of therapy, and never has any of this shit, I've never realized. I've only been you're just such a great person, and all this hand-holding, and you are strong, you are smart, look at your life, look how amazing you are. And it's just that's not helping me. Mm-hmm. I actually need to see what's in the shadows, and what I'm doing, subconsciously and consciously, and get fucking honest with myself. And I'm noticing already, in my relations with people, I'm just, much more calmer. I'm, less reactionary. I'm having this weird falling out with this friend that she doesn't want to talk about it. And, I've cried about it and been anguished about it, but I've, not bothered her with it. Where normally I would be, trying to talk about it or, and causing drama about it. Instead, I'm just she doesn't want to talk about it, and maybe you're not going to be friends anymore, and you can handle that, and, have compassion for her that she can't talk about it.
Yeah, there it is. Grace. You can handle this. You can handle
her the grace that you wish that she would give you. Give to other people what you want them to give to you, and let it go. You don't have to accept every drama and every fight and every emotional train that comes by. You don't have to jump on it.
Because underneath it all, you can handle rejection and abandonment, and you can handle it. So, like I said, the missing piece in this relationship with your body is that you can handle it like this. You could handle it if you got hit by a car, and you could handle that.
Lose my ankle and not even have an ankle.
Yeah, you just imagine that's what's going to happen. Just go there right now and realize, and you know what? I'm not saying that, it's so easy. We're not saying that. We're just saying that you could handle it.
Yeah.
You would accommodate. You would adapt. You would move on. Your whole life would be adjusted and adapted. And this whole idea of, I'm supposed to be climbing the mountains, would just go, why would I even think that? That's one pinhole aspect of life. That's not all of life. That's just one aspect. How many human beings on this planet are disabled? And will never do that. Does that mean that their life is terrible? No.
I know. I've just said to the doctor, I'm like, am I going to get my ankle back? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And I just thought, okay, there's going to be months ahead. He's like, it's going to be 3 months. You can't move it, and the surgery, and this and that and that. And I was just, cried, was upset for a while. And then I was just like, oh, I think this is where I'm supposed to also say, I can handle this. Like, I can just even all these fears of like nuclear war and earthquake, there's just a lot of fear, crazy shit going on right now in the world, and I was just getting so freaked out and scared, and just was like, okay, I guess I'll handle it. I'll sit in my apartment and
whatever happens, I have to accept it.
Die with my cats. Yeah, like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and die with them. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, I guess I would deal with it, and I would die, and I would just deal with it, and that kind of calmed me down. It got me past like all this panic. I think definitely with men is where it's going to be the last stand, because it kind of threw me. I was at the gym. I was there for just pleasure, to just chill on a bike, and it was nice. And this guy comes up to me, hits on me, tells me how beautiful I am and how much, I don't like skinny girls. I love your curves and all the stuff. And I just stared at him. I was like, and we ended up, it's like, oh my God, okay. So we go to coffee, and he was really nice. He was a gentleman and sweet, and now he wants to see me again. And I've just started going like, oh shit, this could lead to like nudity.
That's what he's hoping, If he heard this, he'd be like, yes, that's where we needed to go.
And it was like, I just kind of started going down the rabbit hole of, my stomach has never been this fat. I usually have like a nice waist, and he thinks my body looks good, but wait until he actually saw it in the light, like it actually does not look good naked. Like, then I kind of was just, so I've basically kind of I've sort of been avoiding seeing him again, because I just was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not ready for that.
Well, you're avoiding you're rejecting yourself. You're basically projecting onto him your own internal hatred, which isn't even your own internal hatred. It's the hatred of thin supremacy.
Yeah.
That's the indoctrination. And you're projecting it onto a person who clearly does not give a shit.
I know, and because that's the reason he actually came across, like,
totally.
So I'm still like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, because thin people are beautiful, and I'm fucking ugly, and who wants to be with me? So I'm gonna go ahead and torture myself by putting myself in an isolated cage and say that I can't have companionship, especially with someone who doesn't care about the body. Clearly, it's, you are your biggest abuser, but it's only because you've been indoctrinated by the system that would prefer you to abuse yourself. I mean, this is where they make money. Because at this point, normally, you should be going to their churches. Right? Normally, you should go to the church of the shame, because you're ashamed, and ask for penance, and then they'll give you a diet pill in exchange. Right? And then as you lose the weight, you become the old, your narcissistic feed. You get fed. The narcissism gets fed, and you're going to poo-poo this guy because you think he's a dumb shit. So you inflate yourself to cope.
Yeah. I mean, and then like somebody posted some pictures of me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gigantic. Like, I had that flash of, oh my God, I look like a little pinhead with a big giant body. I don't even look, I'm like, oh God, okay, is this old boyfriend going to see it? Like, first thing I was concerned if like an old boyfriend would see it.
So you're really identifying safety with sexual attractiveness. So this would be like...
Or just for them to think, she looks good, or she's hot, or that she has control. She's in control.
And that is
shit together.
Okay, so that's an image in your mind. So it's a mental image.
Yeah. And
attached to that image is safety and security. So what a lot of people don't realize is that when there's body image, it's actually the image in your mind is the one you attach to. And you're attached to the image of idealism. No one attaches to the shameism. The only way you get shame is to have an ideal. So A lot of people go, I have a terrible negative body image. Bullshit. You have an inflated narcissistic body image and you're holding your body to that and you're ashamed of your body. Make sense? So what you need to be aware of is the shame you have isn't coming from your body. It's not your body that is causing the shame. It isn't his approval or disapproval, actually, that's causing the shame. What's creating this dark, you can call it dark energy if you want to, is the thin ideal that you've attached yourself to. It has so you identify by it, and because of that, you carry shame because you've identified and change yourself, if you want to call it that, to this superior standard, and you want the superiority. So you will live forever in inferiority because of that. And being with men to you, because you could say, well, the context of the superior body, the only reason why I latched my identity to it is because I believed that safety would be in the acceptance of a man. And the way you did it is through sexual attractiveness. That if I'm sexually attractive, that is the portal to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Like it is the way to get to this space of everlasting happiness and freedom to be myself. Once I have a man that is attracted to me and wants me, then I have made it. It's like a destination. And so you become, what happens is you become a slave to the opinion of men. And you attach to the symbolism of thin supremacy is ideal. Even though there are men out there who prefer bigger women. And if you attached to that, then you would be forcing yourself to overeat, to be fat. And in that situation, you'd have terrible eating issues because you wouldn't want to eat anymore. I just can't eat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go into permanently being abandoned. You will never be attractive to any person. Period. So this is where you're struggling to let go of that. So you're holding on to it. I'm holding on to this aspect of body image. Because if I surrender that, if you surrender that, you will be alone forever. And your belief systems are such that that is symbolic of being a failure. It's almost like, did you have some aunt or something that was shamed because she never got married?
No, but I've, watched all my friends get married, and it's been like I've always just chosen, I don't know, it seems so foreign to me. I can't even imagine in a million years even having that kind of relationship where a man would want to marry me and get on a knee and propose. Like, it's beyond, it's like, I can't even, it's just for the first time recently that I've actually stopped and said, oh, I think I would like that. I think I would like that. I would actually like to have somebody to grow old with. Like, I've kind of talked the talk all these years, but I never would walk the walk because I would constantly get into these relationships that were abusive or dead ends and emotional, where I was just tortured from beginning to end.
Yeah, it was toxic. You're toxic. They're toxic. Yeah, you both brought your...
Never there for me. Me there for them, proving to them that I can change them, I can fix them, and then being so disappointed when, they didn't want to stop hoarding. And, I wanted to help them clean out all their boxes, and I wanted to help them get this done and that done. And
super codependent drama triangle.
Absolutely. And, it's just always... but then always then knowing, almost being relieved and happy when it played out like I knew it was going to play out and it was over. It was like, I knew damn fucking well I wasn't going to build a life with this person. Like, of course I wasn't. I knew that the whole time. Why did I just go through years with this, doing this?
Yeah, because you needed something out of the relationship, and you were willing to use that person for it. Ooh, that had to have hurt. That had to have stung what I just said.
It really just made me stop and go, I always thought I was abusing myself. I mean, they were assholes, but I guess I was trying to change them.
No, that's abusive. There's a degree of abusiveness in that. There's
all my ideas for them were really good, Robin.
I believe you. That's what everybody thinks, right? But I know what's best for them, and they should do it.
He was a fucking hoarder. Like, you couldn't even walk in his apartment. Of course he needed to fucking clean out his apartment.
I know, but the crazy thing is you carry the same problems, just manifesting in a different way.
Yeah.
All right, so resolution here, because we could talk about how shitty this is the whole hour.
Okay.
Because I already know that stuff. You sound like you're in a degree of hell.
I'm in a degree of health?
Yeah, hell, Hell.
Oh, hell. I'm all hell?
No, you're in a degree of Dante's Inferno. It's not at the bottom anymore, but it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. I definitely feel much more relief, and I'm in a, but I definitely, I know I'm not fully, I know I'm still in it.
Yeah, you're in the process of escaping.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like,
good.
Yeah, it's kind of like being in a cult and dedicating your entire adulthood. Like, I use this example in the last session I had, which I'll post. But imagine that you were from age 18, 16, you got into religious cults, and you became indoctrinated, and you left everything. You left your parents, you left society, you never went to college, you never really went through normal, like, cultural programming, right? To be programmed by something more radical. So you left reality to live in a radicalized program and you got pregnant at 17, and you had 3 kids, and they basically, you live in an isolated environment, and it becomes bad, and you realize this isn't good, and my children are now being abused, and I don't know if this is healthy, and is this, what have I done with my life? But you've already fucked it up, right? So at some point, that person realizes, I have fucked this up, and I either commit suicide, or I stay here, and I just live in my torture, or I leave. How am I going to get out? Right? How do I get my kids out of this? And not only that, but I don't know how to integrate back into the reality of where my parents and siblings and my family and all the people I abandoned for this radicalized system. I got to go back and integrate to it. So how am I going to support myself? Will my family recognize me? So you see the similarities in what you're doing to what that person would have to do. They cannot, you can't get back what you've lost.
Yeah.
That was the cost of the lesson. You cannot get back what you've lost.
Ouch.
That's what you're not facing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like...
That's what I'm grieving. That's what just holding me up or something, I guess.
Because you still hold on to the idea that you can get it back. Really? You'd have to go back into the cult. Why would you do that? Right? So you have to let go of the fantasy that you think your life was. The delusions.
What it could have been, or like what it could have been.
Yeah.
Never be now, just been chasing mirages like across the board, and they've all just taken a shit simultaneously. So it's awesome in a lot of ways. Like it's a clean sweep here. But you're right. I mean, what you said about our relationship with our bodies is the most intimate one, and that if we can find peace with that, then it does just kind of fan out from there. Everything changes
from there. So making peace. So that person that left the cult, or went into a cult, had 3 kids, is no longer has an awareness of supporting themselves. They have no fucking clue how reality works. They got to go back into reality, ask their family to take them back and start from 0 at age, 45, right?
Yeah.
Well, what would you tell them? Well, first of all, would it make sense for them to be like, I miss my entire life. My entire fucking life was dedicated in some warped, dysfunctional environment.
Yeah.
Warped, right? And now I'm trying to get back to reality. And does it make sense to sit back and go, I ruined my entire life? Why would you do that? What that means is that you're sitting and sulking in your own shit, thinking that it's going to do something. And how long can you sit there grieving the loss of reality, decades of reality, that honestly you had no idea you were losing out when you were losing out on it, right? Until you found out, oh shit, that was a mistake. Well, yeah, the mistake was made when you were 16. So how were you to end this? How was it supposed to end? Right? So you're grieving the awareness you have after decades of suffering.
Yeah.
So does it make sense to sit back and go, I should have known? Really? You should have known.
I would tell her, look, you're here now.
Well, thank God you woke up.
Yeah.
And got your children out. And there's an opportunity for you to start at any age. Go to college in your 40s. Why do you have to go the program route of the system? Why do you have to be married? Is there anything wrong or not wrong with it? And why can't you just be real with it? Why does it have to be an overreach? If it happens, it'll happen naturally. It will never be forced again. Because everything you've done up until this point has been a forced part of what you've been trying to create. Right? And so you have to reconcile with what you know now as what you know now moving forward. Not what you know now and now realize you fucked up in. Right? So do you see how that person who leaves a cult and has to start at 0 has to be okay with their losses? If they are not okay with their losses, they will continue to suffer. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah. I've just been like, oh my God, I'm like immature. I thought I was like a grown up, but I'm just like, wow, there's so many things like I'm just stunted, like my emotions. I just never saw it so clearly, I guess. It's just.
Well, you have to accept where you're at. You have to accept that. You can't sit here and feel bad about being immature. This is what happens when people get brainwashed.
Yeah.
No joke. This is because you lose your autonomy. You surrender your autonomy to some authoritarian critical perspective, right?
Yeah.
That's how brainwashing works. You only open yourself up to it to be programmed if you believe whatever is programming you is sacredly authoritative and superior to you. Think about that for a second. The only way someone would allow themselves to be programmed is if they believe what is programming them is superior to them. They know more. So you hand over your free will to the system.
It did. I guess you can't really grow. You can't really blossom as your own person when you're just a little zombie following the masses.
Yeah. Yes. And so what? So don't feel bad about it. So when you say I feel so immature, it's like, well, of course you are.
Yeah.
So is everybody doing it because they stop maturing the moment they hand over their free will. It's over.
Yeah.
Because you're using the will of your life to be controlled. Thinking you're going to get something for it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
This is very closely related to religion.
Well, I grew up and my dad was a pastor, so.
I know, I knew that. And that's why I knew you were. That's why I said the joke earlier. It was so good.
Yeah. I actually have been, I was in a cult or two. Well, my family was too, growing, which was interesting. But so I kind of know. I saw people that
they hand over everything to it.
And then when the cult broke up, they just were completely, happened to rebuild their lives. Like seen that happen.
Yeah, and you have to go into who am I? Because you lose touch with that self-development, the intrinsic development of what's good for you. You lose touch with your internal heart self, and you become super mental focused or mentally deranged. It's like, that's what brainwashing is. It's like, they're not washing your heart. They're washing your brain. And so you're mentally being controlled by your survival mechanisms. But it is willful. It is willful. At some point, you said, this would be worth it because I will be cool. I'm going to be, it will make me superior. Right? It's no different than religions that say, it is only through our religion that God will love you. We are superior. We are chosen by God. We are superior. So you follow those things thinking that you will get the love of God. Right? That you lose your autonomy. It's not real. It's like saying, okay, well, if I just follow these rules, that's the level of heaven I will get to. But what if I was autonomous in it and it was heart guided with my real self versus the alternative that I am conforming to? Well, if you conform to that, that's where you're at. That's where you stop. That's as far as you go. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
So I feel
that. I feel like it's a teenager in some ways.
Yeah.
I have fits. I have little fits and.
Yeah, and you're doing it when you do it.
She's hot-headed, she's hot-headed, and it's like, I am hot-headed, because I do all, react, what? What'd you say?
Oh, no, you didn't! Nuh-uh.
I literally do. And it's got me, gets me in hot water time to time.
Well, because you're dealing with people who are beyond that. And to people that are beyond that, it's not tolerable. It's like, and I'm over. This is not worth it.
Or if they're on the same level, then it's just a bunch of teenagers fighting.
Oh, yeah. And then it's just like, I'm going to win. You're going to lose. Whatever. I'm going to win. And you're going to lose. Yeah. It's so human. It is really kind of funny and cute. It's like, oh.
I do feel, then I just feel these flashes of I'm just so happy that I'm, it feels good to just face everything, and it's not like I'm just beating myself with a stick, I'm just kind of noticing these things and just sort of awesome, you're seeing it, and now you can choose, different, and, teeny little things will happen that'll just make me happy, wow, you just handled that like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good, I'm proud of you, I get.
Yeah, I mean, you're feeling that maturation occur. It's like, all right, I'm progressing. There's something changing, but let's really open this up and look at it further. It doesn't have to be this slow going maturation process. Yeah. It can be a very rapid shift in awareness.
I definitely feel
some
that.
people look at it as you're energetically vibrating at a higher level. So you're naturally thinking differently because you're no longer as low as you were. Everybody at those lower levels thinks exactly the same way because we're primal animals. That's your animal brain function, right? So you're coming out of the animal brain and into an area of the brain that's functioning at a higher level because it's no longer being held hostage by the animal brain, right?
Yeah, and that's, hearing all these other women on all these videos you talk to, it's just kind of cracks me up how I'm like, oh, I really did think I was special. I'm not special. Oh, I thought it was just me, or I thought, it's just almost like textbook.
Yeah, it's predictable.
Fucked up textbook. It's just.
This is how we all are. This is how I was down there. And it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose. It's just, what is it serving you now? It's hit its cap. It's now serving detriment.
Makes no sense.
Now it's causing detriment, right? You can say, now it's hurting me. And it's been hurting me for a long time, but I haven't been willing to let it go because I wanted what it was. You could say this has lasted as long as it did because you wanted what it said it would give you, which is superiority,
I don't want to gain weight though.
Okay, well,
it's gonna be fucking hard to carry. It's like, but I'm not limiting food, and I am,
yeah, well, you're making it worse for yourself by saying I'm not willing to gain any weight. Well, that means you're gonna suffer.
Yeah, I mean, it did, it did make me happy when, the month before I talked to you, I gained 10 pounds. And since I talked to you, I've basically, gained maybe 1 or 2 pounds. And that's from just not even, so that there has been, that was my little guidepost, oh, my body, it doesn't want to gain weight. That's great.
Good for it. It's complying to me.
I'm so happy. And then now this fucking ankle thing, and so that I just can't.
Oh my God, I have to face my narcissism. Fuck.
But then I guess I just will deal with it. My whole life, it might just become a full-time job getting my big, heavy body, into the car and, going play. I guess I just have to.
How much do you weigh?
I weigh 230 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9".
I just want you to know that the women you listen to would do anything to be that size. So there's a lot of women I work with who are really big.
Yeah.
And they recover.
I hear them, and I'm like,
this is really relative to my perspective.
Yeah.
So you're catastrophizing what you already are in, as if it can't get any worse. Oh, really?
I mean, I was 285 at one point 20 years ago.
It gets worse. Yeah. And your karma.
And I was down to 200 after HCG. Why couldn't I have just been then it just was this whole rat race from up, down, up, down, up. So back up to 230, and when I started HCG, I was 250, so I'm almost there. I've almost gained it all back. So it's why I just have to step back and just stay the fuck out of it, because I can't.
Yeah, but if you have
capital F.
Okay, so if you still have wants and needs that you expect from the body, are you staying out of it?
No.
Mm-mm.
Guess I'm still have a little bit of a horse in the race.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a little forewarning here. You are going to get worse. It gets worse now. So you have to be gracious about it. I guess you don't have to be gracious, but what you'll find is you will be 300 pounds soon.
Oh, God.
And you know what I'm saying is true. You're right there on that edge.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on the cusp of either making a huge transformation to your overall identity with making the body completely irrelevant. There is an irrelevance. Or we make the body really relevant again.
No.
Well, you have to really question that I just can't gain any weight. Oh.
I know. But, it's okay to, is there any healthy way where anybody could ever, obviously, for my ankle's sake, my body, it would be nice,
Well, this is where a lot of people get stuck, Chrissy. A lot of people get stuck here because they don't see that you're the one that caused the damage to the ship. You think the body is making you uncomfortable.
Well, no.
I'm uncomfortable in this body. And it's
sort of okay, I was just... Right, yeah, I know that I am stuck at this place. This is where I got stuck last time, but I've made leaps and bounds, and I do know last time I went and tried to, start biting again.
So you might be more ready to take this message now. You might be ready to hear it now and go, okay, now I have to really listen to this. I didn't listen to this before, right?
I cannot diet. I will not diet. I will not restrict food. I will not do that to myself.
So you can, so what is you being afraid of gaining weight going to do?
It's gonna make me start. Yeah, definitely little thoughts will creep in. I have to bat them away like little flies.
Yeah, the thoughts are secondary. You are living. There is a chronic sense of fear that you feel. So the thoughts are coming from that feeling. So you're living with a degree of anxiety. It's like living in anxiety, as if the body is the threat to your life. The body that's giving you life and sustaining life and providing you life is threatening your life.
Yeah.
You hear that, right?
I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm not out of
Yeah, but did you hear what I just said? Did it click at all?
The body, that's the body that I'm giving me life. I feel like it's threatening my life. I know that I'm the one like I'm fully aware that I'm the one that got me here. That my body, and I'm kind of.
Well, you got here, but what is the real threat? Of course, you are the messenger, and you're the worker bee. You're the slave, right? So what is saying your body's going to kill you? The one that's alive, doing great, is the biggest threat to your life. It's kind of like saying you realize that you are born spiritually flawed and demonic. So you can't get to God without us. Because spiritually, even though God made your spirit, it's bad.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. It's like, hold on, what? So we're made from the cloth of God, but we're bad. So it's like the body that is providing consciousness and life is threatening your life. That has made hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars over the decades.
Yeah, right there.
You got it. And that belief right there, you might want to question that dogma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware I haven't.
What if this body is going to be permanently 280 pounds? Because that is your karma from a past life. There's no choice in it. So you're either a slave to hiding from the karma, or you accept that was my cost. For some fucked up reason I'm not aware of, that is the cost.
God, I mean, I guess I have to say that I don't want to be 280 pounds. That would suck. I would be tired, dragging it around.
Right, it's so terrible. It'd be such a shitty life to live.
And I guess it's hard for me. I guess it's why I still hold on to that. I don't want to just be a big giant fatso. I mean, that's not.
But what if that's what if that is karma? That's a responsibility that you're going to have to take. That's your karma for some past horrible thing that you've done, and this is your contract. This is the contract that you have to fulfill. You are to live a life in a very difficult body because you shamed someone who had difficulty once.
Yeah.
And there's no way out of it.
I guess I would accept that.
Oh, well, let's go there. Oh my God.
I would accept that.
Because it's going to happen. And so if you have that, let's imagine that's true.
Okay.
If you won't accept it, what does that mean this entire life is going to be dedicated to? Basically torture?
Yeah.
Torture chambers.
Yeah.
Living in hell because you refuse to take responsibility for some horrible past life problem, right?
Yeah. Maybe put it that way. I guess I could accept that.
Right? Because what do you get if you say, all right, fine, this is for me to get out of hell. If this is what I have to sign to get out of hell.
Yeah.
Torment. Horrible, horrible torment. I have to accept I will be 280 pounds. I accept 280 pounds for the rest of this lifetime. I will accept the body that has been given to me, that I am attached to for whatever horrible karma I did. Permanently, it will be 280 pounds. For you to end that karma, you have to accept it. So the moment you accept it, okay, let's just go into what acceptance would feel like.
Okay.
This is this lifetime's karma. And to move beyond it, I have to accept this. So the moment you accept this body, let's just say 280 pounds, okay? Let's just go there in acceptance.
Okay.
How do you feel then about the body once you accept that this is what it is? It's alive. It's conscious. You have life. It is still giving you life, right?
Yeah.
What happens the moment you accept it?
I feel peaceful. I mean, the struggle ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just deal with it. It's just like, okay, come on, body, let's go.
Yeah, some people are born with a body that has no legs. Some people are born with blindness. Some people are born with total deafness. You were born with 280 pounds.
Yeah, well.
So you can spend your life trying to fix it. So your whole life is defined by fixing that, which will never work, right? It will never actually ever end. You become an indentured servant in hell trying to fix something that is not to be fixed. And your whole life is wasted.
Just worrying that, that everyone else's opinions come in. That's what makes me, they're going to know that I'm inferior.
Yes, yes. So that is,
I'm,
yeah, they will go there. So
fat. I just have fat. They're going to know I have fat. I'm not fit. I'm fat.
Right? You're such a piece of shit. And so this is where your karma is coming full circle. Oh, crap. I must have done that to someone. I must have done that to someone. And that was wrong. Maybe that's where you need to put yourself to recover.
Yeah.
Is to realize that is just really ignorant. And nobody really, for something as ridiculous as the body, should be shamed. It's just really immature. But the only way to get that level of maturation, to get to the next level of maturation, is to be willing to be free, really. So let's just say people do criticize you. Should you go back into hell so that they don't criticize you? For them. You live in hell for those fleeting moments that they criticize you, so that they won't. So they get the benefit of not criticizing you. You just live in hell.
Yeah.
So what if
or if they just know I'm working on it, like, hey, I'm working on it, then I get grace from that. I'm working. I even found myself like, I'm in body image therapy. Almost made me feel like I was trying to tell them I'm working on it because I know it's wrong what I look like. I just observed that thought go by in my head. I was just like, wow, that's interesting. I'm even using
this as an excuse.
I'm using I know there's an issue here and I'm dealing with it. And then they kind of look like, oh, okay, good. Oh, she's smart. She's dealing with it. Because she needs to.
Well, it's too bad you have to constantly excuse it as if you're, So you're validating the thin supremacy.
Yeah.
At all times.
I'll feel those moments where I'm aware of that, and I'll just kind of be like, wow, that's interesting. That's silly, Kristen.
Yeah, well, it comes from that part of you that just won't stop. Won't let it go.
Yeah. It's slipping through my fingers, but I'm definitely, there's definitely I'm still holding on to fragments. I'm definitely committed to it, so that feels good.
Yeah, that is good. And sometimes you just have to suffer more to start getting rid of those tentacles, like you said, holding on to fragments.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting something from those fragments. That's why you're not letting them go, You got to see, first of all, it's an illusion. It's a fantasy what you think you're going to get. It's total fantasy. So it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
it's just other people. Like, who are these people, Who are these?
It's you. What you're projecting your douchebaggery onto other people.
Yeah.
So what you're not seeing is that you're the one who's ashamed, and you're shaming yourself, and you're trying to excuse it as if everybody's like you. That's narcissism.
Yeah.
Everybody is superior. I have to make sure that they know that I am too.
That's true.
So if you had to be 280 pounds forever to get out of this, and that's all
it's really not that big of a deal.
I know, right? I know. See, now you're getting into reality. It's like, well, it's not as bad as I've made it. I've been catastrophizing it to be worse than it really is.
You know, because I can't wear most of my clothes, and so normally I get into this whole boohoo thing, or I do a quick round so I can wear my clothes. And this now lately, I was just like, fuck those clothes, and I like trotted off to, you know, I just went and bought some bigger clothes. And that was kind of an interesting, you know, it was like kind of this interesting day. I went around to buy fat clothes, and I was sort of, part of me was like, you know, a little bit, it was weird, but for the most part, it felt healthy, it felt good, it felt like, don't worry, you can get as big as you want, I'll just keep buying you bigger clothes, don't worry, honey, it's okay, you know, so it was kind of
there's
nice.
Part of you that was nurturing and loving, and there's part of you that's like, no.
It was just weird, it was like, am I really doing this? Am I just buying bigger clothes, and I'm okay with it? How is this possible? And I'm just... and I just am. Like, with clothes, I'm going to torture myself so that I can fit into certain clothing when there's bigger clothing. Just doesn't, that's another thing I kind of let go of. But you don't see me giving away the clothes. I'm like, oh,
the truth comes out.
Like, that's cute. I'm keeping it. Who knows? Let's see how this thing works out. I don't know.
That is hilarious. You're being honest with yourself, and I think that's also really, really killer. That's good. You're doing a good job. It may not feel or seem that way, you know, because it's not like some of the people you might hear in those sessions, but keep in mind these people are talking to me twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, and they're at the bottomless pit of despair, you know.
Yeah.
And you and I haven't worked tightly like that. And so you're doing it in a more organic, natural way from within your own processing.
Yeah.
And of course, those videos are going to help you because you're hearing the processing. You're hearing the processing, but you're hearing others processing. It's very different than hearing you process.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just loving them. They're just sort of like whereas before I didn't listen as often either. I was just kind of like, oh, I can, you know, I'm just taking full advantage of getting to hear those videos and just.
Well, you're ready. You're ready to recover. You just have to be ready to really let go of your survival.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're going to die. So what you're holding on to are the last lifelines.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and it's gonna feel like you're dying.
It does. Like, just the thought of, like, you know, this old boyfriend that just thinks, you know, I'm his sexy fantasy, thinks I'm just the hottest thing alive, and he wants to, like, you know, take me for a drink, and I'm just like, I can't see him. I'm gonna ruin his family. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
You should just go. Maybe that will force you into it. I don't know. Just go. Imagine that this is my karma, and I have to expose my fat body to a man.
Yeah.
To move past it. And I have to do it willfully. I can't do it like I'm being made to do this. Nope. I'm willfully doing this. And I'm not going to, if he rejects me, I accept that ahead of time.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, years I would avoid him. Like, you know, there's no, I mean, the romance, that whole thing is over, but it's just as far as he's just someone that's dear to me, you know, or we have like a nice connection as friends, but I still like to think that, oh, he's still, but I did go ahead, we ended up having to cancel, but I was like, wow, I just went, yeah, I'll meet you, yeah, let's have dinner, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that, I accepted, like, I'm gonna let him see me. But it's really only like 30 pounds since I saw him last. He doesn't fucking care. No one cares. I don't fucking anyway. But yeah, like it's definitely. I feel like the men thing is gonna be the last thing to go. To just
Well, it's really your willingness to be rejected by men, which comes down to my willingness to be alone. Willingness to be alone.
Yeah.
And does it really mean I'm a loser? Does it really mean I'm a bad person? Should this define any woman on the planet? Any woman or any man on the planet that ends up being alone their entire life this way? You know, maybe this is being in solitude for you is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
For you to recover and to really get to be in a space where you don't have these fears of rejection and abandonment.
Yeah, I'm so rejection sensitive.
You're constantly rejecting yourself, and that's why. So you need to go into, why am I the biggest asshole? What and where did I get programmed to be the asshole? When did I put in the I'm a shitty person floppy disk in the computer?
Yeah.
What did I install into the computer that was so full of viruses that were hateful?
Yeah.
And why can't I just push eject? Why isn't the computer without a program good enough? All right?
Yeah.
You ready to do it? Just push eject. The problem is with eject is it's like saying I'm permanently accepting this body as it was intended to be. Permanent. Which means I don't have to think about it, worry about it, fix it, judge it, shame it. I just accept it and move on.
Yeah, I just have visions of me like rolling over like a beached whale, just spread eagle on the fucking sand with my big white body. Like, this is it, motherfuckers.
Pretty much. And you know what? I'm a good person.
It's like, am I just going to roll over and show my belly to the world?
Yeah, why not? Who cares? Be part of the landscape. This is what makes the beach so great. And here's the thing. If by doing this, does this mean you're giving yourself the right to binge every day, all day long, the rest of your life? Is that why you're doing it?
No.
So what's the likelihood you're going to be that big?
Not very likely. I mean,
but emotionally, that's what you feel. You feel I'm going to get huge. But the reality of it is you get huge when you're binging, which is only there because you're dieting. So we're getting rid of all of that.
Just how,
So the good news is that you don't intend to hurt your body with food. You don't want to. You don't like it. So that's not going to happen. But you're willing to allow the body to naturally be whatever it is. And so by giving it the grace of what's heavier than you are, you don't even have to monitor it. You don't have to worry about gaining. It's like if I gain, I'm not doing anything to cause it. So if it gains, it's because it's naturally needs for whatever reason to gain. It is not because of me.
Yeah.
Up until this point, everything has been because of you.
Yep, it has.
So you give it the grace of being what it's going to be from here on forward. If that means it gets bigger on its own, it's not your business. And if you can handle being on the beach like that, call me. I'll come down. Hang out. Sounds like fun. All right, I'm going to stop recording.